We're live. Morning, everybody. Welcome to the Daily Fishing Show. I've got a special guest with me today. Hasn't fished with me in a while. Captain Mike Urema, owner extraordinaire, I1 Blade Baits. We are out here today in a very, and I say very foggy, Oneida Lake. We left the dock this morning. Man, I'm gonna have to change this line already because it is spun right up tight. We left the dock this morning at 6:30. Air temp was in the mid to upper 40s. What'd your truck say on the way over?
46.
46. And
I dressed like it was going to be 26.
yeah, me too. And we putted our way out in the fog. I mean, you can see behind Mike right here. I mean, I don't know. We got two loons circling us. How far are those loons? 75 yards maybe?
Tops. The farthest we've been able to see all morning.
That's about as far as we can see. If it wasn't for GPS, you'd have no clue where you were right now. Which brings up a great point. We were both just telling each other fog stories, and trust your electronics in times like this. You're looking at your GPS, it shows your boat cursor. Trust where you are. Slow down, but it's glass. It is glass calm out here. Glass. So we came out into an area. We're in 18 foot of water. We've been in this 18. I don't know how much we've moved. It hasn't been much. Everything shows 0 miles per hour, no drift. But we started catching fish pretty quickly. Mike had one within the first drift or two. And my GoPro's had enough for today. Mike started getting them on blade baits. He's got a new color. What do you call that? Is that a clown? I'll have him show you next time he's in. He's been on fire with that thing, and I couldn't get. I fished Chester Copper Pot and Tequila Sunrise quite a bit, and I didn't get bit on them. I switched over and I picked up my swim bait rod, and you guys know me. I'm dragging this thing on the bottom, and they've liked it. And so far this morning, we've had 3 species. We've had a perch or 2, but walleyes and bass. And so I've been dragging that big old honker on the bottom, and I've had both species eat it, and Mike's had all 3 species take the blade. It's strange. It's real quiet out here. Let me go through and look here real quick. Arrigo, watching from the East End. How you guys doing? Oh, East Tennessee. I thought you meant the East End of Oneida Lake. Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah, show that.
You wanted to see that bait?
Yeah. So that's a holographic clown with the black dot on it. That's sharp looking. And they obviously liked it this morning. East Tennessee. Right on, man. Thank you. Rumbleseek, good morning. Steve and Eddie, good morning, Matt. Looks like a little foggy out there. A little foggy's an understatement, Steve, let me tell you. Yeah, we've had loons circling us all morning. My boat's gray, so I always think they think I'm their mother, but I'm sure it means that there's bait around. Any fin is possible. Busy at work, but listening. All right, buddy. Well, good. Thank you very much for tuning in. So yeah, it's been a fun morning. Mike and I haven't fished together in a while. He's been out killing big bucks in Kansas and doing all kinds of fun stuff. He's got a pretty cool next couple days with filming a TV show with a couple guys. So that's pretty awesome. You guys are going to be looking for Eastern Basin and Canadian walleyes, correct?
Yeah, and I'm kind of hoping that the weather's bad enough we can stay close to home one of these days. Maybe show off what we got locally.
So who you filming with? You want to talk about that briefly?
Yeah. After fishing this year with Craig Sleeman on the National Walleye Tour, made a lot of friends, and got contacted by Jason Shakirat from In Depth Outdoors, and they talked to Craig about setting up for a TV show on Lake Ontario. So they're coming up today. Their first flight's delayed, but they're going to get in this afternoon, and we're going to set up, and we'll spend a couple days up on the eastern branch, the eastern edge of Lake Ontario, looking for some giant walleyes, and we're going to slide on the Canadian side for another trip, and hopefully enough stuff's left over.
That's the third. That's the third time that's happened to him this morning.
Hopefully, if we got a day left over, we can come out here and show them some local talent.
Oh man, I'll tell you, it's been one of those mornings. We've had no shortage of fish today, and I don't. It's hard to say how far we've drifted or moved. I mean, there's
about a boat length, I think.
yeah. Oh, I had a double right there. I suck at
Just a little guy, but they're here. If you want, all you want to catch.
So sorry. So yeah. So you're going to be on the eastern basin of Lake Ontario, and then you guys are talking about sliding over to the Canadian side over to Bay of Quinte.
Yeah, we got a solid report from up in Quinte, so we're going to try and sneak up there and get it one day.
And I don't know if everybody knows, but I mean, you're talking about fall fish for one. You're talking about big water, and you should easily be double digits. I mean, you should have the expectation of every time you set the hook on something.
Yeah, it's gonna be, Lake Ontario, in my mind, has probably the largest average walleyes of anywhere I've ever fished. I mean, we fish Lake Erie, we fish Green Bay, we fish a lot of places, but they just seem to be bigger on Lake Ontario. They're all big fish up there.
Yeah.
Especially this time of year, they're ferocious eaters. So if we can get around something, I anticipate having good numbers on great size of fish.
Now, do you guys already have a plan? I mean, are you going to be trolling? Are you going to be casting?
We're going to start out trolling, but if we can get it back to a swim bait bite, we're going to try and swap over. But historically up there, you cover ground and you cover water and find the active pods of fish.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a trolling show to start. But,
and so if you do find them, it would be the casted weapon of choice would be a swim bait?
Swim bait.
Yeah.
Big swim bait.
Yep.
Big fish, big swim bait, big water, big hooks, something you can put in one.
Yep. Yep.
I will, knowing me, I'm going to be throwing a blade bait just to,
yes,
because I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's going to be a big swim bait bite. If they're on, they're on alewives, they're on baits that move. They're not really picking up the dyers. They're just cracking them out of the school.
So fall up on the big lake. Now it's funny. I spent my whole life on that lake, but this time of year I would never be out there. I would have been in the rivers. And I know alewives are a spring spawner, but what about smelt and stuff? I mean, is there going to be bait fish up and
you kind of, I don't have that answer for you. I do know that when we fished Erie a couple weeks ago, they were talking about smelt moving into the bays, and when it happens, it's special. You need to be there.
Gotcha.
It's a short window, and the smelt move in the fall. I don't think it's to go up spawn in the creeks. I think they must follow something in for whatever they do biologically.
I keep thinking that there's a boat behind me. It's those two loons. And I don't mean these two loons. I mean those two loons. Yeah, that's awesome. So, and it's going to be, do you have an idea when it will be out? And
I don't. Honestly, I'm a third wheel on this one. It's a Craig and Jason show, and I got invited along, so I was not turning that opportunity down. No. And you want to talk about what show it's going to be a part of? In Depth Outdoors.
Okay. Now I don't know if anybody knows that, Mike and I were talking earlier. In Depth Outdoors is, as far as internet-based fishing shows, has got to be one of the biggest. I mean,
it's got the biggest names from the National Walleye Tour associated with it, so it's
yeah, that'll be awesome.
Nice to see them come out here. It's just nice to be included sometimes. Now we just got to show them what we can do.
It's so the bass world, discovered, let's say, Oneida Lake 10, 15 years ago with largemouth. And in those days, nobody in the bass world, when they came to this lake, ever fished for smallmouth because the largemouth were just bigger on average. Mm-hmm. And then maybe they still are, but the smallmouth has started to play a lot bigger role in this fishery. And then, of course, with just the explosion in the St. Lawrence and Lake Ontario proper but certainly the Eastern Basin, with this, I mean, these bass have doubled in size. They've doubled in size in my lifetime. A 20-inch bass when I was a kid up there used to be 3.5, 4 pounds, and now they're 6 to 8. It's really amazing that what the Goby has positively done for that fishery. And everybody was worried to death when they first came, and maybe they still are a detriment in other ways, but in the walleyes, it must be eating that same forage base. I mean, most of that area up there is paved on the bottom with gobies. Jeez, pipe down over there. Holy crap. It's not your show, it's mine. God.
I think he thinks otherwise.
Exactly. It's a pretty cool sound effect to have in the background, though.
It's yeah, Jason Secure, like I got a hold of Craig. It's pretty funny. We made friends with him this summer. His son Jay fishes the elites and won the tournament with over 100 pounds.
You were
this
saying
summer.
that.
So
You were saying that.
he actually, we fished Green Bay. It's a tournament. I got lucky enough to get a couple good draws, and I won. Drove home. Jason drove out from Wisconsin to see his son in time. We all went up to watch him claim his prize up in Clayton.
That's right. I remember you telling me that. Yep.
Kind of how, I mean, just you get a good feeling for who everyone is, because they're good hometown guys. They love what they do, and you meet new people that like to do what you're doing. It comes together.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you and I are prime examples of that this year, and a lot of the great people I've met along the way. Fishing and hunting has a way of bringing people together. You have a common interest, and it's amazing how many great people are out there doing it, which is nice to see. And it's easy to network with good people, you know. Let me go back through a couple of the comments here. Looked like, so Rumble Seat says, Mike, looked like Mike's rod wasn't moving when he caught that one. It wasn't.
Bait was in the fall.
Yeah. And 2 other times today, you and I have been talking, and we've been standing still, and boom, have one cracking.
People fully underestimate just how the fish today seem to be hitting it on the drop, which is, I don't want to call it usual, but it's more unusual. I have more fish pin this bait to the bottom on the pause, more so than the drops. Those are the fish you feel when you pick it up. You know, a lot of guys fish these baits, in my opinion, too fast when they're ripping a blade bait to get them started. You don't have to with an I-1 blade bait. You don't have to rip it. As a matter of fact, it's counterproductive.
Amen
You're
to
gonna
that.
snag a lot of fish. So a simple pull, you probably can see the rod. Look at that screen.
Yep.
You can see my rod go right in immediately. When I start pulling this thing, I can feel those vibrations. Pause and let it swim to the bottom, reel down to it, and repeat. And that's it. And these fish are either hitting it on that pause, or they're pinning it to the bottom. That fish pinned it to the bottom, which is more common than I think most people realize.
So
Something we did pick up from the bass world. The guys fishing up in St. Clair will sometimes let that blade bait sit, all sterling silver blade bait, sit in that sand for 30, 40 seconds. The smallmouth they'll circle around, then one of them will come over. It looks like sunfish on a dough ball. And then one of them will just get bold enough to go pick it up. They slurp it in, and you just gotta be ready to set the hook.
you know, and the visual for that is, so Mike's lifting and he goes, brrr, and then he holds that tip up and lets that bait swim back down to the bottom. So it's going up, it's being pulled up, and then it stops, and it goes like this and comes down. We got another boat out here somewhere in the fog.
So what we didn't realize,
so these fish are hitting this for him today on that gliding fall.
or pinning to the bottom. What we didn't realize was just how much these baits will swim when you have a longer cast. Your line is out. There's surface tension because the braid floats, and we always fish in a hog trough in like 6 foot of water, or test them in pools. Definitely coming close.
I know. We're bear with us, guys. We do have another boat out here. We can hear him pretty clearly, but there is no visual yet. It sounds like he's coming right at us.
So, anyways, we'll fish these in a swimming pool for testing purposes, or a hog trough for demonstration during outdoor shows. In that shallow water, the blade bait almost folds up on itself and just crumples and goes to the bottom. What we're able to learn with a longer
There it
cast,
is. I can just see it.
I don't want to see them really good.
I know.
If you see them really good, that's a problem. So, oh well.
They're slowing down at least. Okay, good.
Oh, there he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what we learned with the forward-looking sonar is, with that surface tension and a longer cast, is when you're watching these things, when you lift them up, they swim up, and then with that long, just that surface tension alone, nice hook set, will actually allow them to swim back to the bottom. So they're getting cracks on that, both ways. Interrupted my seminar. You're fishing.
Yeah, yeah. Watch the way he nets my fish. Yeah,
Fishy.
yeah, yeah.
Whoopsie. We're gonna net this one. Looks like a velociraptor coming in with.
I know, right?
Yeah. We'll call that the fish of the day.
Oh boy, yeah. You guys ready for this? Boom! He takes up the whole screen. Look at that. Walleyes love swim baits. Look at, he's holding it like a cigar. Whoa. Let's see. Sorry. Sorry, buddy. I'm being funny and I shouldn't be. You're right. What do you think? 18 and a half, 19?
19 and a half, maybe?
19 and a half. On the money. That's how you do Wednesday right there.
That's how wide my Kansas buck was.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, he got me. He shit all over me. All over my hand. Okay, let's see here. I go walleye fishing with my brother-in-law every summer in Lake Erie. Loons are feeding on bait fish, so good to fish around them. You're right. Looked like Mike's rod wasn't moving. We already did that one. Where are we next? George Parson. Morning, guys. I win baits rule. Tell Mike hello from PA. Thank you, and they do rule. Let's see Mike's bait. We'll show it again, Steve, when he brings it in. I'll bet a bloody nose spoon would work too. There you go. It's a good looking bait.
Good looking bait. We were talking about how we're basically in winter fishing rules, even though it's 46, 50 degrees out. And people always ask, how come we don't wear gloves? How come we don't do this? How come we do that? And we do wear gloves sometimes. But the key to keeping your hands functional, keep them dry, keep them slime free, keep your rods dry. But we also, lifesavers, little ones. If I am wearing a thin glove, I like to wear just a Gore-Tex shell glove. They're paper thin. And I'll put one of these in the back of my hand. Keeps your hand warm just from the back. If I'm not wearing gloves or I'm doing something else, I always tuck these right against your wrists and your cuffs of your sleeve. Keep them dry, but that keeps all that warmth and that blood in your. It helps you keep going. Then take two more and put them like right in your front pockets and your hips. You got a lot of blood going down the front of your pelvis.
You're gonna laugh at me. I've never once used a hand warmer in my life.
Can't say that.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I've bought them. I used to keep them in the drift boat for winter steelhead fishing for guys.
$2 saviors though.
Yep. And this year I've went through 3 pair of gloves already, and I just can't seem to find the right combination. I bought a pair of strikers at Lakeside Outfitters the other day, and I tried them yesterday for the first day, and it wasn't really cold, and they were fine. But they're still clunky. You know, I had those Sitkas, and I blew the stitching out of them in a week. So I took those back to Runnings. They were $40 for a glove liner. You know.
So let's see what I brought.
Mike, any fin is possible is the guy's name. He says, looks like they're in their living room with fake loon sound effects.
Green screening it.
We're green screening it.
So,
reminding everybody, hit the like button for Matt's channel, helps him get paid. Well, yes.
So anyways, winter gloves. Stormar neoprenes. They're good. They're better if you don't need to feel anything. Like if if I was trolling, I might wear these. Might do something where you don't really need to feel what you're
Yep.
doing. They are still neoprene. Now, these are ones I will wear. They're hard to get in and out of, but the important thing on most of these gloves, what you're going to find for a winter glove, is you have to have something that's, it can't have like a liner in it. If it has a liner, it has to be like attached, like
attached
to the shell.
To the shell.
So you don't pull your fingers out of it with. So
Yep.
you're going to find these fish monkeys, cast gloves we learned a lot of this stuff. So once again, if I was out in my drift boat rowing, not feeling stuff, I would certainly wear these, or I'd wear these between spots. But when it comes down to it, if I actually need a glove, it's gonna be one of those really thin Gore-Tex shell only gloves. They're like paper thin or rag wool fingerless.
Yep.
You can get them wet, or fleece even. Just keep them dry, bring several pairs, use what you can. If you can get away with it, just don't wear gloves at all, because you lose so much dexterity when you're jigging that it makes it harder.
Doesn't it seem funny, with all the advancements that mankind has made over the last 2,000 years, nobody can still make a glove that is functional and warm? That always amazes me.
Here's that windstopper glove. I mean, it's paper thin.
Yep.
It will stay dry. It will keep your hand warm.
I've got a pair of clam ice armors like that. They're just
these are the money.
They're just shell.
Manzellas. But if I was gonna have to fish with gloves on, this would be the glove I'd fish with.
Are those waterproof?
No. But you can, if you grab a fish, you can basically treat it like your hand and dry them, because
Gotcha.
they are Gore-Tex, but they're not.
Oh,
It's different. Windstopper. It's not.
oh
not the
yeah,
waterproof
right,
stuff.
right.
And then the last option, once again, same thing, but you got to keep them dry, are the real thin. These are have to be Under Armour. Really good for if it's windy out, but they don't do well in a wet environment, which when you're fishing. So
It's funny, and that's what's in his bag, and in my bag I've got 4 other pairs too. I got wool, I've got 2 shells, and then I've got those new
Switch
strikers.
180.
Did it?
Yep. You've gone in a circle.
Not even sure where we are right at I mean, I know where we are, but I don't know what direction we're pointed or anything. Let's keep looking here. Blow your horn. We saw the boat and it stopped, although I don't see it anymore. Finally, I caught you live. There you go, Just Paul. Thanks for joining us. Matt, what size jig head would I use for shallow water swim baits for eyes? Okay, well, that all depends on what you want to do with the swim bait. So for me right now, I am slow dragging this swim bait along the bottom. And for that, I am using a 3/8 ounce pillhead Northland jig. And we're in 18, 19 foot of water. Today there's no drift, so you could do anything, but with a normal drift, that's the size head I'm fishing. If I was in 25 foot plus, I have 3/4 ounce heads that I would use. That way it just pins it right to the bottom and you're dragging it right tight. If I was casting and retrieving swim baits through the water column and not directly on bottom, I would use anything from a 1/16 all the way to 3/8. I seem to fall into that quarter a lot, especially if I'm fishing light line.
And if you had a friend that owned a bait company, they might even show out and prototype some of the brand new ones that we're just starting to use. It's got a metal keeper, but I cut them off on that. And the biggest thing is when you're throwing swim bait, what people don't recognize is you have to match the length of the hook and the weight of the head to the bait you're using. It's super important that when you grab a swim bait out of the package, you take a look at them. Depending on what you're trying to accomplish, you need to have a soft bait. It has to fold over on itself. If it's a stiff bait, it'll be okay for like the short river. The fishing we do up there is different than a swim bait. But when these baits come through the water, the bait's going to roll side to side, and the tail is going to do its tail thing, independent of each other. So if you have a jig head with a hook that's too long and it doesn't allow that bait to do that side to side roll, while that tail's doing its action, pick a new hook, pick a new jig head. You need to have a bait that will swim and a hook that will allow it to swim.
And 2, you've got to be the size wire of the hook needs to be appropriate to the rod and the line combination that you're throwing. If you're throwing something on a real ultralight rod and on light line, you don't want a heavy gauge wire hook because you're not going to have enough oomph to really drive that hook in. Wherein the opposite of that would be if you're fishing braid with a normal size leader and you're fishing a super light wire hook, certainly when you have bigger fish in the area, you can open them right up, look just like a frog spear. So there are some things to consider when it comes to pairing up a swim bait with the proper jig head. And then as far as styling of that head, there are a number of different, I mean, that's the, so this is the pill head that I'm using right now.
Well, that's
Well, this isn't the one I'm using. Style-wise, it is. I'm not using this exact one, but so that's that pill head, and that's a heavier wire. But if you're throwing braid with, a 10-pound fluorocarbon leader on a regular medium action rod, you'll drive that home no problem. And two, these fish, and you guys know, I show you. Oh, there's one right there. You guys know that when I show you the pictures of these fish, a swim bait bite is way different than anything else.
Yeah, they are completely fooled.
One fish today.
Didn't show on the video, but that fish, there was that much of that bait showing. The head was showing. The rest of it was in its mouth. When they come up behind these things, they're fooled.
Yeah.
They choke them in. They're gone.
And so you guys see, and I say it all the time, another 18-incher. So the deal with that swim bait is, and again, whether I'm dragging it or whether I'm bringing it through the water column, it's slow enough, and you'll feel that fish loaded up. At that point, they've already engulfed that swim bait, and most times they're still swimming with you. They're minding their own business. They don't realize what's happened because to them it's a single bait fish down there that they've eaten. When they hit a blade, when they hit a jig and wrap, I have to believe, and we don't know this is undeniable fact, but there's feeding instinct, but there's also reaction to a stimulus down there. This, I would think, is about as natural looking as it could be. And they just go, there's something to eat, I've eaten it, and I'm going to go about my business, which is why you have to reel into them before you ever come back, because there's not a distinct bite. Like that fish right there, we were talking, and I just happened to lift my rod tip to go and bring it up, and it was heavy. He already had it,
In the springtime, if you feel that bite, it's a bass or pickerel.
Correct.
If you in the springtime, when you're fishing these things in 6 to 10 foot, if you feel that tick, it's probably a pickerel in this lake, or a largemouth bass. But all of a sudden, if it just gets heavy, it's like when you're casting those crawler harnesses. It's just keep rolling. They knock slack into it.
Yep, they're still swimming, and you gotta catch up to them and load that rod before you sweeps at them. But they've got it as good as they're gonna get it. My first bite today on the swim bait, I lost, and I didn't do anything different than I do every other time. But typically, they've engulfed it all the way, and they're gonna have it as good as. It's not like you can go, oh, I waited on that bite or something like that. It doesn't really work that way.
That thing cracked on the fall right under the bowl.
Yeah, we got it. Well, yeah, there he is right there.
Yeah, well, missing a tooth.
All right,
Just touched it again.
let's keep going here. This has been our best live so far. I did the what size jig head. I'm leaving my place now. Save some for me. Don, I thought that was you coming out in the boat, honestly. Helps algorithm also, yes. Listen, everybody, you want to help the channel as much as you can? Yes, like, comment, but share. Share it with everybody on your social media and tell them that it's cool and we're having fun and that you enjoy it. that is the greatest help that anybody can give us right now, is just telling everybody about what we're doing. Alex Lamandola, so we've been slamming them wade fishing at night off of Lewis Point using Rapalas. It's all rock there, so sometimes the lip breaks. Also just looking for something new to use there. Listen, when you're casting from shore, you can throw a swim bait unweighted on a Riggit Texas style. You can throw a swim bait. They make, oh, there he is. They make belly weighted swim bait hooks all the way down to 1/8 of an ounce for shallow water applications. You can fish it on, if it's all rock, Alex, then rig yourself up a drop shot rig with a super lightweight. Boy, they're nice fish. There's nothing wrong with these fish.
No, look at that one.
Yep. Nothing wrong with these fish at all. Man, when you pick them up and they're just chunks.
Nothing wrong with them is they're eating swim bait, not blade bait.
Well, that wasn't the case to begin with. Mike had me about 6-1 right off the bat, 18.5. And that's a full handful right there. Hi, everybody.
Those guys are talking about night bite. It is hard to fight the power on those baits. I mean, south side guys all like challengers, north side guys all like husky jerks, and it's what really
Right.
works in that area. Scatter wraps are coming around, and you will break baits. Nothing lasts forever. So if you're catching fish and you break a bait, even one a night, 2 a night, if you got 10 or 15 fish, like that night bite can be amazing. When that school moves in, you can catch them cast for cast, or like
Fast.
all 4 of you in a row catch them.
Yep.
Yep. I don't know. I don't know if I would switch from a bait that's working just because I broke a couple of them or lost a couple of them.
True, absolutely.
Swim baits will work. Put it that way.
Swim baits will work. I mean, and there's, famously, I love to say all the time, nothing is ever any one thing all the time. The minute someone says to you, oh, you can only catch it on this, I kind of stop listening, because there's always another way. There's always a better mousetrap. There's always another way to get a bite, So try. Hey, listen, I am a huge advocate of trying something else, and let me know how you do. I will look into those. You guys are all talking about Lewis Point, Merlin, my buddy from down in the southern tier. These live videos are informative. Hard to catch the live shows. I should be working. I watch every day. Thanks, Merlin. And there he is. And we do the live every morning, but then I share the video. It saves, and so the video is still there. Oh, look at the size of that thing. Holy shit. That's got to be pushing 12 inches. Gotta be.
I mean, this is the common thing. This is a good example of it. Guys talk about this being a foul hooked fish. I'm fully convinced.
You're not on screen.
Not on screen. I mean, the bottom hook is the one that has that fish, and that's clearly foul hook. But this fish tried to eat that bait, pin it to the bottom, tried to eat that bait, and that's the hook that got him. So it's not like we're out here intentionally targeting. But if you are out there like ripping really fast, that action will get a lot more fish over there, and you will snag a lot more fish. But if you slow them down, you will catch a lot more fish in the mouth. I think that fish ate it. That fish is 11 and just under a half.
Wow, that's a nice perch. That's a nice perch.
Jigging wraps, you really can't slow down. You got to fish those things.
Yeah.
Take the good with the bad with those, but they can be awesome. Nice thing about those is they get to the bottom fast. They get past a lot of fish, and you will get multiple hits if you do miss a fish. We've never been able to figure out if it's one fish chasing the bait, picking, dropping, missing, or if it's like 3 or 4 fish actively trying to kill that minnow that's just doing the craziest things down there. You don't seem to get the repeat offenders with a blade bait, and you don't have to with a swim bait. By the time you feel them, they got it.
Right. So our last comment, Where are you guys fishing? Can't see shore. Oh, look at this guy. This is what he did to me first thing this morning until I got the swim bait going. Let's see what we got.
Oh, come on. I see it was a walleye. It just popped off right there.
Yep. Well, guys, we're going to give this a couple more minutes, and then we're going to call it a day, which is really a shame because I don't want to go. we got a little tiny bit of a breeze coming in our back right at the moment. It looks like it's a south breeze, and we're facing the North Shore right now, according to my unit. I'm barely moving, but I am moving, and my cursor's moved. So we're in 18 foot of water, basically right off Oneida Shores, off the park.
And all you need to know is not a lot of 18 foot of water out here.
No, we're pretty much dead center, and you know, again, it's hard to say how much we've moved.
We spun around in a couple circles. That's about it.
Yeah. So, oh, there's a little bit of a ripple right there. That's the first. That's
Don Birdie boat wave.
That's the first one we've seen so far.
Fish guys are gonna bless Donnie when he gets here with a drift. Well, personal plug. I'm home from Kansas. I'll be around the shop this afternoon, waiting for Jason's plane to come in. And after I got out of the boat today, I'm heading down to see my hook girl. I got to pick up 1,000 blade baits that she just put hooks on for me while I was away in Kansas. So if anyone is around the area wants to stop by the shop, it's completely stuffed full of 2 brand new Rangers right now. Hard to walk around in, but we'll have, I think I got about 11,000 blade baits in stock right now.
That's it.
That's it.
And now that Mike's back, I've had a lot of people messaging me about this 6-pack of blades of my colors that I'm going to do. I'll have those from Mike here in the next day or so, and hopefully by the weekend I'll have them up on Shopify in my store, ready for purchase for Christmas. So let's see. Why don't we get ready for a last cast here? I gotta go be productive today.
I don't.
I know. I know. And this is just so much fun. Listen, it's the first week of December. Water temp 37.1. It actually came up a little bit. And it's because of these warm nights. And the extended forecast through Tuesday right now is daytime highs in the 40s, low to mid 40s, and overnight lows right around freezing. So, you know, we definitely have at least another week out here, and I'm gonna keep right on going until it's solid. You know, I've been dying to get up and go do some steelhead fishing, and the brown trout finally picked up a little bit over in Oswego, and I just can't leave this. I just can't. I just enjoy this so much every day, and there's gonna come a time, you know, when the ice comes, we'll be ice fishing. I don't know about every day.
For browns and Oswego.
Yep. Yeah.
And then perch fishing start in February.
Yeah, I want to get with you guys down in the Finger Lakes and go chase some of those giants. So we have a ton of great shows still coming up in the rest of the season, but I just don't want to leave this yet. To me, this is paradise to come out and catch smallmouth and walleye. Oh, there we go. We're finally starting to see a little bit, although I still can't.
That wind just pushed that out. I
Yep.
know what we're looking at. But,
Oh, there's that boat behind us.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you still have a boat that's not winterized, by all means, jump out. I mean, a little short, quick jump like this, you can catch fish, get on quick. They're aggressively feeding if you can get around them. If your boat's put away, you know, and you're not duck hunting, put your waders on and grab a couple Rapalas, Challengers, Bombers, Husky Jerks, whatever you got. And I bungled on the cast. Get out there, you know, 4:15, and fish till 6:30.
Yeah.
Anywhere you can get access to the lake is where those walleyes are going to be. That's a quick answer. Guys talk about this spot and that spot and other spot. based on access. If you got a buddy that has a camp, or you can get in through a county park or a town park, go try it. Throw a headlamp on, walk out to about somewhere between your thighs and your hips, and just cast. And the secret is the cadence. Figure out what they want that night. Whether they want it slow rolled, whether they want it paused, whether they want to have it miss a hook set like that. But
Did I tell you about our new shirt? I was going to say, I suck at fishing, awakening angler. I missed multiple bites. I don't know how I missed it either.
I don't know how you missed it either. Well, still got your pants on.
Yeah.
So just get out there, try it. It's not too bad. The wind on those nights usually helps. You find a wind blown shore. You only got to get out, 3 foot, 2.5, 3, 4 foot, top, so 4 foot's over your waders. So just get out there, like say thigh deep and cast.
Yeah, and they're in thigh deep water or less.
Or less.
I mean, so
if it's rough or less.
Yeah, especially if it's rough. And there's a lot of great access around this lake. North Shore, South Shore, East and West End. There's a lot of places publicly that a guy can walk in and not be doing anything to anybody's place, and there's a lot of great spots to go fishing. You play your wind and you drive around. And listen, I know everybody's waiting for ice, and ice is cool, but
No, not.
I'm not either. I'm not either. I ice fish when I have, ice to fish, but
Ice goes in my glass.
but yeah, I'd rather be on open water, and if I could, makes me want to go down to Lake Cumberland for the winter and catch those giant smallmouth down there in water that never gets below 40 degrees. But
It'll be middle of the weekend of December, Pearl Harbor Day. So let's thank our veterans again. And
any fin is possible. As a former Alaska fishing guide, I always say it's my job to find the fish and it's your job to hook them. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Where'd you guide up there? Who'd you guide for in Alaska? I got a couple buddies of mine that are still up there.
you come off the perch.
Adirondack brookies with the sound of loons. Yeah, no kidding.
That'd be a good one.
I'd like to leave on a fish, Mike. So let's see if we can.
One.
I know. Let's see if we can grab one here quick and then make
You
a
weekend
mile.
anglers, stop sucking.
Yeah, we could have I suck at fishing on the front, and on the back it'd say, I'm all right. I fixed it. I caught one. Yeah, my buddy Bill Morey said last night, he goes, if you make that t-shirt, I'll buy one for everybody. I'm like, right on, that's 2,100 t-shirt sales.
Call Krager.
He's a teacher. He's probably got tons of money he doesn't even know what to do with. I love you, Bill. He works for himself. I own Holitna River Lodge. Just came back to raise my boys. We'll be back up there in about 5 years. Okay, Mike and I want to go. I've never been to Alaska. I'm sure you have, right?
I've never been to Alaska.
Oh, I want to go to Alaska so bad. I had an opportunity to guide up there 25 years ago when my daughter was young, and I didn't take it. I'm not saying I regret that, but I've never been, and it's right up there. So there's 3 bucket list things for me that really have always stuck out in my mind. Mallard shoot down in Arkansas on the Green Timber, an elk hunt on horseback, and Alaska.
Do you know how big of a horse I would need?
I feel bad for my horse. They'd be like, get off me, you fat ass. I almost said a bad word.
2 horses to pull a chariot with me in it? Would that work?
Ethan Sleeman.
Ethan Sleeman.
Craig's brother?
It's Craig's twin brother.
Craig's twin brother. As if one wasn't enough. Now we have 2 of them. Look at that. I say your name, Ethan, and he hooks up.
Hi, Ethan.
I'm gonna tell you what, these walleyes are speed, like full speed trout this time of year. You would think they would be slower, but they're not.
Ah.
All right, I'm bringing the rest of my cast in, guys, and then we're going. That's another one, solid 16 and a half, probably.
Yeah. Eater. That's a sandwich.
I'm going to finish my retrieve here, and then we're going bye-bye.
Wheels up on a wind. Everyone that stayed to the last minute, you still on?
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Got new jacks out there. We ain't even tried them yet. Fresh in from Erie.
Man, look at that. Hold on. Let's not go too far with those. Look at that one. So that one, let's look real close at that. So that's on a copper body.
We got
with
Dirty Magic we're throwing on the one I've got now, but it's on copper also.
With the hot pink and purple stripes with what looks like silver tape underneath it.
Magic.
Man, that looks good. Yeah, stay tuned. There's a ton of Mike's got a lot of really cool stuff coming for 2023.
We also worked out that deal with that company we talked about. It's a year late, but it's better late than never. So, yeah, we'll have, once I have them in my hand, we'll display them.
Yep.
We talked about it. People who can read between the lines know what we're talking about.
And people that have been watching all year know as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. Good luck with the NB crew. You must go to Alaska. Tell me about it. Bob, you buy, I'll fly. What other rods you guys are using? They look like heavy rods. No, we both fish.
3XF.
We both fish Douglas Douglas X Matrix. This is a 7.6. This is my swim bait rod.
That is a heavy rod.
And it's still a medium power. It's a number 3 power, but it is. This is my swim bait rod. And then our jigging rods, Mike and I both run the same one. We run the Douglas X Matrix 683 XF, which was designed partially by Mike with Douglas's rod builder and Craig Sleeman to.
Yeah, we took Fred out for a trip last fall and begged him for a blade bait rod, and that's what showed up this year. We showed him what we needed, begged him to do something, and they opened the crate this year, called me up, and he nailed it.
They're
Fred
amazing.
Absolutely nailed it.
They're amazing. Even 2 days ago, my buddy Don Birdie was fishing with me, and he threw a big wind knot. So his rod that he brought, and he fishes a Douglas X Matrix. He was fishing a 7-footer, and so I gave him my jigging rod, my 683, and I was throwing a swim bait. And as soon as he started with it, he's like, "Oh, that's a whole different feel." That 683 has been designed with that super fast tip to really start and actuate that blade bait immediately. And to me, yes, it's a high end, it's a beautiful rod. Okay, but it is. I guarantee you my hookup ratio and my landing percentages have went dramatically up from having that rod. And you're akin, you were the reason I changed my style. So all my life as a fish fighter, it's pump and reel. I've spent most of my life professionally guiding salmon and steelhead. And so you teach people to pump and reel. You and I were together, and I'd lost a fish on the blade, and you said, "Stop doing that. Just straight crank and let the rod act as the absorber." And that really has game changed things for me this year. And that rod it does everything. It is so fast and so responsive that the minute when you come up on that rod and you feel that little bit of tension, because there's nothing out here. I always tell people, just assume there's nothing on the bottom, and any resistance on that line is a fish. He's already got it. So you just start to lift that tip, and he's there. Oh, you're right on him instantly. And then as you're fighting them, and you could see when Mike was fighting his fish, so the bulk of that power band on that rod is in the last, say, third of it. But boy, that tip really is so responsive that as they're shaking their head, you're holding that rod and steady cranking, and just that tip is taking all that absorption.
We were gonna get out of here, but since we're doing this,
Yeah.
so Douglas 683XF to Tula. This is a 3000 size. I like the 3000 size. I got 22 pounds of drag, so I crank that drag down. Fishing 832 Suffolk, 10 pound. You can go to whatever you want. I like 10 pound. We've gone 6. We've gone 15 with. There's a reason for that, and I can explain that after. I attach it with an Alberto knot. I leave an 1/8 of an inch of the braid and fray it out because that's the part of the knot that can fall apart, and I cut the fluorocarbon as tight as possible. That, I'm going to guess, is 2 foot, which is actually longer than I usually use. I usually use 16 to 20 inches of 15 pound, sometimes 12, but always a stiffer, straighter deal. This happens to be soft steel. It's a stretch fluoro. I1 Baits blade bait in a custom color that doesn't truly exist yet, but it will. Trust me, it's coming. Is that. Crank the reel down, and when you take these things, you're going to cast them. You cast them kind of up, and you stop it with your finger and let that blade fall in the water and give it a little tug, and you'll feel that it vibrates right off the bat. Then fold the reel, the bail over with your hand, and then check your drag. This is where most people will get the wind knots. If they don't just do this one little thing, just by touching that, if you flip it with your handle, that you can do it, wears out the gear, puts a 1/4 turn of twist in here and a loop. So you make sure you're off the top of your spool just by tugging that. One little deal. Reel down to it with your fingertip out so it has that little bit of tension. Now I didn't watch that cast, but you watch the cast and it goes puff. When it's on bottom, it's falling, and then the breath comes out of it. That's bottom. You're gonna reel down to your blade bait. I actually adjust my hand, and my hand goes in front of my reel for balance here. And when I pull this blade bait, it's actually like a pull. And it's not really a jig, you don't snap it. It's just simply a pull. You're gonna feel it vibrate 2, 3, 4, 1, 6 times, whatever you feel it. And you hold that down. Hold it on a high rod and let it flutter back to the bottom. Reel up the slack, rinse and repeat. That's your whole ticket. You'll feel it tick sometimes in the bottom as it falls, but it has to reset bottom at least every other time, if not, probably try for every time and let it pause down there. The fish generally pick it up off the bottom. They very seldom will chase it as it's swimming, and every once in a while will hit it when it falls. Now, it's different with a glide bait like a jigging wrap. They absolutely hit it when it falls and will also pin it to the bottom. That's different. A blade bait is a completely different animal. Fish it like it's supposed to, and you'll catch a lot of fish.
Yeah.
And a pearl of perch just ticked it right there. Fish it back to the boat. Give it a few more right under the boat, and this was where you will hover it sometimes. Reset bottom, let it slop the slack into it, give it a couple pops, and then just go back into your next cast. Reel up on it. I'll move my hand back where I'm balanced and comfortable. Make my cast. Here it is, full speed. Cast goes out, I stop it, I watch it go in, I give it a little pull, I straight it out, I reel down to it, and I'm gonna watch my line, watching my line, and it's falling. You can see it, it's just about there, and there's bottom. If you can see that slack, that's bottom. It's on bottom. I'm gonna reel down to it, I'm gonna pull it. There's bottom. I'm guessing you can see it at that point. It's very hard to see.
I'm trying to get it.
There's bottom. There's bottom. There's bottom. That's it. Rinse and repeat. Where these don't work really well is if you're drifting, say you're drifting west and you throw them north or south. They don't work well on a side drift. They work into or behind your drift. You can get away with a little bit of a J cast, quite a bit of a J cast, but you won't do a 90-degree cast so it falls behind the boat. They will always fold over and bungle on themselves. If you do feel it pick up a zebra mussel, or you do feel it somehow get bungled, reel in and abort the cast. You pretty much can't shake them loose if you did pick something up.
I tell people that all the time. The beauty of the blade, and part of my OCD or ADD, every single time I lift that blade, if it doesn't feel perfect, I bring it in and check it because something's wrong. You picked up a weed, you picked up a ZB, it's folded over, something's wrong.
The other thing we didn't talk about was I attach it with a improved clinch knot. I want that straight pull knot. I don't need the strength of a Palomar knot. I want it to pull straight when it comes out. So I straight pull knot. Whatever knot you choose, as long as it comes out of the middle, not off the side, is important.
Yep.
And two things will happen. Sometimes for no particular reason at all, you won't feel it. All of a sudden it comes back halfway and it's bungled. Yeah, there she is. It'll come back bungled. I believe a fish will spit these out sometimes. That's why they'll fall on themselves crooked. just for no reason at all. After 20 casts, suddenly it's bungling halfway back. A fish has probably caught that or did something to it while it was down there, and you just didn't feel it. You missed a bite. It happens. The other thing is that when you hook a big drum or a carp or a lot of fish, and all of a sudden it's bungling every time, cut off like 4 inches of your leader, retie a straight lot. If that knot stretches at all,
it's going to come off to the side.
To come off to the side. So if you start having these crazy problems with it, that's what it is. And my recommendation is, until you know how to fish these things effectively, start with a heavier leader, 15, 20 pound test, 2 foot max, probably 18 inches is all you need. And
because
it needs the
resistance of the line.
These things, they also want it to be straight. Like say, if it was a 4 pound leader or just straight braid, it falls into like an S hook, or it actually kind of floats into itself. Fluorocarbon will sink, and fluorocarbon stays straighter. I mean, you probably can't see that at all, just by
barely.
See how it stays straighter. It's not gonna
and
get in its own way.
That's what pound fluorocarbon right now.
This is 12.
12. And if you picked up my rod, I'm running the 16 on my leader on a 3 foot leader, because as it's falling, like Mike said, it's staying straight and it's not just curling over itself. Mike, we've been going for an hour.
You're late for work.
Thank God I know the boss. Don Terry is out here. Glad I caught a live. This has been fun. Thanks, Alex. This really has been fun. If your landing ratio went up, it must have been terrible before. Oh, you're real funny, Bob. Man, you used to be my best friend, and now you're not going to sit at the cool kids table.
I think you should do a recap. Show me your Douglas stuff compared to what you started with. Not right now.
Yeah.
The end of the year.
So Merlin, where are you getting the Douglas rods?
Great question.
That is a great question, and so Mike at I1 Baits is a authorized dealer for Douglas, as well as his own products, and has some other things in his shop, which is getting bigger and better as we speak.
Those of you aren't aware, I have a shop in Phoenix, New York, and it started with my story is I started tying hair jigs because I wasn't comfortable with what was out there, what existed in our area. I wasn't satisfied with what was there. I knew we could do better. My dad taught me to tie flies when I was a kid. Knew we could do better. So we started making some jigs, and my theory was I want to catch a fish on a jig I tied. Then I wanted to catch a limit, then I wanted to win a tournament, and I wanted somebody else to win a tournament. So it progressed and progressed quickly. That may have been 20 years ago with hair jigs. Then we progressed into other things, which includes blade baits, which includes trolling weights, which includes swim bait heads. We're looking at a few other lines that I'm not really ready to discuss yet. So once they need to be available, we realized the internet wasn't enough, because people, if they're right down the street, didn't want to call up. So I set up, we used to travel and do the shows. Then COVID came, so I set the show up in my shop. I've got basically all my wire racks with a couple thousand blade baits on display, some swim bait heads, jig baits, Douglas rods, a couple other places. Anything we use in a charter business. We're also licensed charter captains, New York State guides. Anything you use in the charter business, myself, my tournament life, is pretty much available, or could be available through the shop. That's why we set up that way. It's hometown. It is not fancy. Someday it may be, but it's not fancy. It's as old school as you're going to get, and that has a limiting factor with some of the rods, some of the lines of stuff I can bring in. They require more, but it is brick and mortar. And I do have what you need to get started, and I have everything we caught today. I can send you home with today. And
more colors of the first time I went over and saw the place and looked around. I mean, and there are more blade baits and more patterns. It's sensory overload. Like, you can't look at them all. And I've been there multiple times, and I still haven't seen them all. Not to mention, he gets new stuff in from painters all the time. So it really is an experience. It's right in Phoenix. You can get a hold of Mike through any social media channel. I'll have his information in the description below, and you can get a hold of him and schedule a time to go over and go to the shop, or you can get a hold of me or get a hold of Mike, and I can give you his information. But it's awesome, and like I say, I'll do a live when I go over there this week and start and we'll do a live over there again. But there's videos from this spring showing the shop and everything. So go back and look at those, and we'll make sure you guys are hooked up. And certainly as spring season is right around the corner, we got a lot of exciting stuff to kick off walleye season 2023. Lot of exciting stuff. So let's you guys are the best. Well, thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. Douglas Rods, Joe DePetro. Sounds like you got some new microphones. Yes, we did.
Side note of the Douglas rods: if you're not local, I can also have them drop shipped right to you. So just give me a call. Just give me a call.
Right.
We can set up whatever you're looking for.
Right.
I can get the right rod in your hands. At least my opinion of what the right rod in your hands is, and have them drop shipped anywhere.
Yep. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks as always. I love you guys, man. Thanks for hanging out. I hope your day's going great. It's Wednesday. The weekend's in sight. We're past the hump. Yeah, I think that's it. Make sure you go over and check out the Shopify store, because I got a ton of great deals on apparel. And again, women's apparel, I still got those ladies t-shirts left. So make sure you hook up the woman in your life with a cool t-shirt. You want her to be cool, you got to get her the right stuff. I got books, I got stickers, and we're gonna have blade bait packs here this week. So go check out the Shopify store. The link is down below. And as always, keep your tip up. We did a lot of that today. Right on.